It is a weird slate for me for tonight because usually I am focusing all my energy on the high salary pitchers and ignoring all the high salary batters. Today, I kind of like some of the lower salaried pitchers, and there are a couple of high salaried stacks I want to get to. One of the lineups is already in, so let's dive on in and get you set for Thursday night's slate. Welcome on into the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. That's right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to answer your questions about tonight's slate for MLB DFS and get you set for a six-game slate. 6 games can be kind of thin at times, but for tonight, it's actually pretty fun. The reason that it's fun is because, like I said, we have the ability to actually spend down a pitcher and feel good about things. Let's take a look at the pitching pool for today. As always, make sure you get your questions in YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter. No matter where you are watching, get those questions in when it's them live here on air. Also, make sure you are subscribed wherever you're watching. And if you're watching YouTube, hit that like button because that does help us out plenty as well. The value plays I like at pitcher for today are Jameson Taillon and Zach Plesac. Depending on your definition of value, some of you might think that $8,400 is not a value. I think it is, because if you plug in Zach Plesac at pitcher, you've got $33.25 left. For me, that's an abundance of riches where I don't know where to go with things. So I think that's great. I think Plesac counts the value. I think Taillon counts the value too. Let's talk about why I like them by going over to the pitching tab here and checking out their numbers. If you look at Zach Plesac on this sheet, he's not going to grade out as being someone we actively want to target for MLB DFS. And some of the numbers here are a reason why I've not been on Plesac for a while, why I missed the boat on him a bit last year too. Didn't really get to take advantage of the high strikeout ways he had last year. You see a 21% strikeout rate. This is over his past 3 starts. The reason I went with 3 starts with Plesac is because, actually I already had it pulled up, that was stupid, is because he made some changes. We're going to pull up his game logs here to show you the changes in data form. Let's go to his pitch info, and we're going to see here that he started throwing a curveball more often 4 starts ago. But it's not just that he started throwing that curveball more often. Let's pull up here the velocity. You're going to see in that 4th start, velocity goes up even more 3 starts ago, and there was an increase in his 4-seam fastball velocity. There was an article in the Beacon Journal. I don't recall the journalist's name, mentioned on the Solo Shot this morning. I don't have my notes up right now, but he mentioned that Plesac changed where he was standing on the mound. That increased his velocity, and talked to Shane Bieber about how to throw his curveball. And you can see those changes in the data here with the increased curveball velocity. Started throwing that curveball more once he had more confidence in it, and it's led to some good things. Now, if we go to the plate discipline numbers, we'll see he's had an 11.8% swinging strike rate or higher in all 4 of those starts. The reason that my sheet includes just the past 3 starts is because that's when the velocity spike occurred. So we have a 3-start sample on him with increased velocity and with increased curveball usage. In those 3 starts, these are the 3 starts there, good swinging strike rates. He has not had the best overall strikeout numbers. It's 4, 6, and 7 in those starts, but he's getting whiffs. That's a good thing. Facing the Twins, the White Sox, and the Reds. Those are all pretty good lineups against righties so far this year. If we sort by WRC plus against righties, we see the Reds in 4th, Twins in 5th, White Sox in 7th. All 3 teams top 7 in WRC plus against righties. Seattle is down here in 21st. They do get Jared Kelenic today. That's going to increase their WRC plus against righties for sure because he's very good. And given what he's replacing, makes it look even better. So we shouldn't view Seattle as being the 21st ranked offense versus righties, but they're not a difficult matchup and not as difficult as what Plesac has faced so far. 26% strikeout rate for Seattle. That's a good thing. So basically, it's a convergence of 2 things. It's Plesac tangibly changing what he's doing as a pitcher and getting more whiffs. Plus, he's getting a matchup that's softer than what he's had over the past 3 starts. That, to me, says Zach Plesac is someone we can utilize in MLB DFS and feel good about it. So $8,400 to me, not too much. And I think that there is a lot of upside there. The reason I like Jameson Taillon is actually going to be over in the notes section over here. Because you see the pitch counts here. 74, 84, 80, 82, 79, 99. He had not gone longer than 84 pitches in his first I believe it was 5 starts. Yeah, so this is 6 total starts. First 5 starts, never exceeded 84 pitches. Last time out went 99. Suddenly, Jameson Taillon becomes someone we can utilize in MLB DFS. If he has the length to go 100 pitches, then we can use it. Facing the Rays, talked about this yesterday with Garrett Cole. They're more of like a neutral-ish matchup for righties, but Cole showed that if you are good enough, you can mow through a lineup like the Rays. So to me, I think Taillon makes a lot of sense. 29% strikeout rate, that ranks second or third on the slate. 3.27 skill interactive ERA, that ranks second behind Trevor Rogers. A lot of hard contact against him. That's why I prefer Plesac. Plesac getting a lot of grounders, so I prefer Plesac straight up, but Taillon in the same tier as him. I also have Christian Javier there. It's a weird range of outcomes for Javier because I think that his floor is kind of bad, but a really good ceiling. So to me, it's Javier, Plesac, Taillon as being all in the same tier for me. I want to have relatively even exposure to all three of those guys because they've got good ceilings. The floor on Javier kind of a little bit shaky, but that's not a concern. I'm talking about it for tournaments, not cash games. So those are the 3 guys from me. Javier, $9,200, whereas Plesac is $84 and Taillon is $7,700. Mateo, I love the Cleveland pitcher and the Reds offense. Which other 2 offenses do you like for tonight? Okay, so the Cleveland pitcher is Plesac. I agree. Good to go. The Reds offense, tremendous. Agree there as well. So Mateo, we are on the same page with both those first things. Which other 2 offenses do you like for tonight? Let's dig in here and check out the other stacks by going to the hitting tab and seeing what we see over here. So Reds, definitively the number 1 stack for today. I like the Marlins quite a bit facing Merrill Kelly. Kelly has been getting more strikeouts recently. This is over his past 5 starts. More changeups for Merrill Kelly, so I want to look at that as being the cutoff for him. 20% strikeout rate, that is up from where it was, I believe, last year, but specifically up from where it was at the beginning of this year. Means he's letting up fewer balls in play, but still a 9.2% barrel rate allowed. That's decently high. We can stack against that. And he's still not getting a super high strikeout rate. His strikeout rate ranks 3rd lowest on this slate. So I think we can stack against Kelly for sure. The Marlins, not a team I actively want to stack, but they give us a lot of value. They make it easier to go with like the Red studs while you're going with Plesac and guys like that. So from a salary saving perspective, I like the Marlins. If we're talking, like if you go Jameson Taillon, you don't need as much salary savings, so you can kind of go nuts with your second stack. And to me, that's the Astros. They're facing Mike Foltynewicz. Foltynewicz, a 22% strikeout rate across all of his starts this year, 6% walk rate. That means he is letting up a good number of balls in play, and 11.9% of those balls in play have been barreled. That is a very large number. He's facing an offense that can do some damage and probably won't be striking out all that much. So when you combine the issues that Foltynewicz has had with hard contact with the fact that the Astros are probably going to put a lot of balls in play, it's a bad combination. So the 3 offenses I am focusing on for today, primarily Reds number 1, and then if you need a value stack, Marlins. If you need a high salaried stack, Astros. Those are the teams that stand out most to me for today. Now the Reds lineup is in. So let's go over here and see if we have either the Marlins or the Astros in as well. And okay, we have the Astros in, so we can actually play around with both the Reds and the Astros. Let's go over here. I'm going to put Plesac in. Mateo likes him. I like him, so we'll play with this first. Let's put Plesac in a pitcher. We're going to scroll to the Reds and see what we can do with this offense. Now, one thing that's interesting here is we have a couple of guys with non-restricted salaries, Tucker Barnhart and Nick Senzel, both at what I would deem high leverage spots in the order for today, batting 6th and 1st. Let's go over here to the Reds leaderboards versus righties this year. Let's sort by plate appearances to get the most relevant batters. Barnhart is striking out a lot. He has a 37% strikeout rate versus righties, making good contact though. 188 ISO. The barrel percentage is not up here, but it is, I think, about 8% or so for Barnhart. So he's actually doing some good stuff. I would say that Barnhart is a solid option for today. I'm not going to put him as like a priority within this red stack, but I would say if you need extra flexibility, I'd feel okay going to Barnhart. Senzel, I think, is a bigger priority for me. Decent batted ball numbers with a 36% hard hit rate and a 31% fly ball rate, but he can swipe bags, puts the ball in play a ton. And as we talked about this morning, because the outfield at Coors Field is so big that actually makes it more beneficial for speedy runners. It's not a situation where like, oh, he'll put one in the gap and get a triple. No, it's more like he's going to get on base and then he can swipe it back. He's not a huge steal guy, but like he has that ability. And so suddenly you go from a regular ball in play to it being a single because the outfield is so big. That's 3 points. And suddenly that turns into a stolen base because he's got speed too. So it kind of has like this force multiplier effect where because Coors is so big, it amplifies the appeal and everything. And then you add in the fact that he could probably score from second base too. It just adds up really well. So we're going to go over here to the Reds. We're going to put in Senzel at second base. Then we're going to go from there and see what we want within this Red stack. Okay, so looking at the numbers versus righties this year, I like what I see from Castellanos and Winker. Feel really good about them. So I do want to prioritize them as being the guys I spend up for here. 44 and 45. That's down to 29.40 left. That does put us in a little bit of a bind. Maybe we can't get to Mike Moustakas. Maybe we can't get to Eugenio Suarez because they're 37 and 35. Maybe that situation where you do go with Barnhart over those. But let's look at the numbers here with Suarez and Moustakas and see if we can decide that they're worth prioritizing and then going with the Marlins as our second stack. Okay, so Suarez, 49% fly ball rate, a lot of strikeouts, but I believe that strikeout number has been coming down. I could be totally wrong in that. But let's look at the game log here for Suarez and see what the strikeout rate for him has looked like in his most recent games. Yeah, strikeout rate is coming down. So it hasn't led to great results yet, but had a dinger a couple nights ago. I would bet that Suarez is probably on the verge of having a nice little stretch here. Couple of barrels the past couple of nights too, fewer strikeouts. Those are the things you want to look for if you're trying to identify if a hitter is on the verge of like a hot streak here or improving from where they were previously. So I think that Suarez is actually on the verge of something really good here. So Suarez, to me, interesting, despite the fact that his full season numbers, not that great, 73 WRC plus, 206 ISO is okay, but like the results overall have not been great. I think they will get better as the sample expands. As far as Moustakas, 51% fly ball rate, low strikeout rate, 246 ISO. Both these guys are very good options. I'd have a hard time choosing, honestly. I think you try to mix and match between the two of them. Let's go Suarez, though. I just feel like I want to buy in with the things looking better for him. So let's do that there. Kyle Farmer batting seventh. Let's look at his numbers and see what kind of profile we got from him, see if we can justify using him as a play, because he's $2,500 at Coors Field, batting seventh, not in front of the pitcher. Those are all really good things. I prefer him over India for sure because India is batting eighth. I don't like guys batting eighth in National League parks. Not a lot of power for Farmer. Does have some speed, which works. Can get some barrels. His ex-WOBA this year is better. I don't think it's like outrageous to use him, but he's not a priority. He's $2,500 at Coors. So I think that I can get there. But if we're talking about which players I am quote unquote prioritizing within this Reds team, I think that the way I'd play these things with Plesac here is kind of splurge a bit. Go for Suarez, Castellanos, Winker, and then go with like the Marlins as my second stack. Looks like Jordan over on YouTube likes Senzel too. I agree. I think that he's someone you want to get to. High in the order, has a couple sources of upside, low salary, fills second base. I know they're a decent number of second basemen for today, but I think that he does grade out pretty well. So to me, these are probably the priorities. But like I said, Farmer works. I think Tucker Barnhart works. I think that Mike Moustakas works. Just depends on what you're feeling. But to me, if I had just one default stack of the Reds, I would do this stack right here, these four guys, and then go with the Marlins for my second stack, given all the value they have. Let's see what we have here if we go with Tyone as our pitcher for today. We have 29.25. That's even a bit more flexibility. So I think that grades out pretty well. Jesus over on YouTube is asking, I like Rogers for tonight. What do you think? I am not in on Trevor Rogers personally, and it's nothing to do with talent. If you look at the sheet here, Trevor Rogers is an animal. He's disgusting. Leads this slate in strikeout rate, leads it in skill interactive ERA. He ranks second in barrel percentage. He's really good. I'm not scared off by the 128 WRC plus for the Diamondbacks against lefties. It's a very small sample. I don't care about that. The numbers that I do care about are this low 21% strikeout rate for Arizona, this temperature at 98 degrees, and these numbers right here, the pitch count for Trevor Rogers in his starts: 77, 82, 95, 82, 85, 77, and 90. The Marlins have Rogers on an innings limit for this year. It sounds like, according to Craig Mish at Sports Grid, it's like 150 innings. And they're acting like it. Like they keep being strict with the pitch count, but specifically the number of times Rogers warms up. Like that's kind of the thing teams are tracking now, is making sure guys aren't warming up a bunch of times, leading into an inning. That's why the innings limit is in place, and less so like looking at pitch counts and stuff like that. So I am worried about Rogers' ceiling specifically. I think he has a great floor because he's such a good pitcher. And Arizona, to me, is not a super threatening team, despite the numbers they put up against lefties so far this year. I just don't think the ceiling is high enough for me to pay $9,900 in the slate where I want to splurge on guys like Winker and Castellanos. So if I'm looking at pitcher for today, I can pretty easily put Rogers at least fourth on my list. He's behind Javier. He's behind Plesac. He's behind Tyone. I might go with Rogers fourth, but that's probably not high enough to be in my player pool for today. I'd rather just stick with those three and split out my exposure like evenly between those three guys. So I understand why people like Rogers. I get it. Like, he's a very good pitcher. He's so fun. Like, I think he's great. I just think when you combine the salary with the opponent, with the pitch count, I'm okay passing over him. But if your research led you to Rogers, you're on the right path because he's tremendous. Just as other factors beyond his talent are what push me away. Jordan, do we like Jesus Aguilar to keep it rolling? So he's facing Kelly. I think that's a good thing. He is also the only Marlins pitcher or hitter with a salary higher than $3,000. He's $3,400. But yeah, I think he's solid. Let's pull up the numbers here for the Marlins against righties. We can kind of get an overall look at the stacking here while we're talking about Aguilar and decide whom we want to prioritize within this team. Aguilar so far this year, 282 ISO, 18% strikeout rate, which is actually really impressive. I'm wondering what his strikeout rates were previously, because I don't think they were that low. Kind of surprising to see 18 being the number there for Aguilar. I guess it was never super high outside of that first year, so it does make sense. But he's hitting well. So, Jordan, yeah, I think he will keep it up. I feel good about Aguilar for tonight. I think that if I'm talking about him, like if I'm comparing him to like Tucker Barnhart, probably prefer Barnhart. They're both in the same position. Barnhart lower salary, but let's say you've already maxed out your Reds. You've already got your 4 Reds. Can't go more there. I'd say Aguilar, a really good play for today. Checking out the other Marlins and what they've done versus righties this year, a lot of strikeouts for Adam Duvall, 36% strikeout rate. But against Kelly, I'm not as worried about strikeout rate. Pretty low strikeout guy, 193 ISO. That's pretty enticing for me with Adam Duvall, like him. Isan Diaz doesn't have a big sample so far this year, but former guy who had a lot of prospect hype before he had injuries with the Brewers. I think he had like, there are like these like red flag injuries, I guess is what I call them, where like whenever a hitter gets them, it like throws up these like actual red flags in your brain. He had a broken hamate bone. That's one of those red flags. So it makes sense that it took him a while to get back in there. As you can see here, he's day-to-day with an illness, but sounds like he'll be potentially good to go for today. But looking at him so far this year, 7.7% barrel rate, 20% strikeout rate. It's a small sample of 41 plate appearances, but that's not too bad. And it seems like he's made some strides from the last time he was in the majors, which you expect. He's 25 years old. Of course, you'd hope he'd improve. And it seems like that is happening right now. So I feel pretty good about Diaz personally. I'm going to clear out the Reds here. Let's go to the Marlins and see what we have there. Diaz, I think $2,700. Yeah, 25, even better. So I like that for sure. I'm going to put Aguilar in there as well. Let's go over to pitcher. Let's put in Plesac just to know how much we have to work with here. Okay, so we have Aguilar, we have Diaz. Assuming that Diaz plays, we'll see on that. But probably should be good to go. I want Duvall in there for the power. If someone on the Marlins is going to get a double dong today, it'd probably be Adam Duvall. So let's put him in at one of the outfield spots. And then we're deciding like Garrett Cooper, Corey Dickerson. Neither guy has good numbers from a power perspective versus righties this year. Both guys have an ISO under 100. Dickerson, low strikeout rate. Cooper, high strikeout rate. So Cooper, not the best batted ball data, really high strikeout rate. It's a pretty tough sell. Let's look at Corey Dickerson's advanced numbers here and see if we can find some reason for hope and some justification for feeling really good about him for today. His ex-WOBA, 328, lower than what his actual WOBA is, which is not great. 2.4% barrel rate. That's also not ideal. So it's hard to get it super enthused about Dickerson, I guess, but I feel like he'd probably be next on the list. I guess. I don't know. It's tough. I think that finding the third guy here is going to be the issue you have with the Marlins. Let's check out Rojas. Maybe we can talk ourselves into him instead. 27%, 36%, 160. That's actually not bad. Okay, so we can go with Miguel Rojas. It's not the biggest salary saving situation, but if you go with Plesac and those four guys, 37.50 left is a pretty decent amount. So I'd feel okay about that. So I think this works. I think the Marlins, a quality second stack with the Reds, with Plesac or Tyone, if you want to just go nuts with Winker and Castellanos. Alvin, are you on the Rockies? I think that there is reason to like the Rockies. The reason to like them is that Luis Castillo doesn't seem fully right now for whatever reason. He said that he didn't have confidence in his changeup, and that's a really good pitch for him. So if he's going to be lowering the usage on his changeup, that's a concern. I don't think he had lowered his usage prior to his most recent start. I think that was the first time he did that, but that's a pretty big concern for me. Let's see what the notes I have for Castillo are here. 30% sliders in his first start, skewing more towards the four-seamer since then. So this is his past six starts. Omitting the first start for Castillo, 19% strikeout rate, not a lot of walks, and not a lot of barrels. That was the thing that kind of pushed me away from stacking against him. I was interested at first because of the low strikeout rate, but even with Castillo being diminished is the word I would say, because he's not bad. Even with him being diminished in this sample, he is still getting ground balls. And that's something that he's done for a long time. He's still limiting hard contact against him, and that makes it hard to get enthused about opposing teams. If we pull up the numbers here this year, this is in the six-star sample I was talking about before, a 50% ground ball rate, 19% hard hit rate. That's good. If he's not going to get strikeouts, that's kind of what he has to do. The Rockies are also really bad. So 73 WRC plus, it's the worst in the slate by a wide margin. They don't make hard contact. They're not a good offense. So I would say, Alvin, I can never definitively say no to a team at Coors Field on a small slate because, things can get nuts. However, my interest in the Rockies is about as low as it can be for a team in warm weather at Coors Field on a small slate. So if you're multi-entering, it makes sense to go with the Rockies. I will not be prioritizing them. I will not be losing a lot of sleep if I don't get to them. I think they're bad. And that really taints my enthusiasm around using them. Reds, sick. Love it. Totally going there as much as I can. Rockies, it's harder for me to get to. Harder for me to be enthusiastic about them. So glad you asked. I think it's the right thing to ask, but I'm really skeptical. I'm really having a hard time getting there. And Jordan sounds like it might be a get-right game for Castillo. I mean, it's a good matchup. It's like he could get right. I hope he does. I hope he does well tonight, in part because I'm not going to have the Rockies, but also because I want to use Luis Castillo in DFS going forward, and I can't use him right now. So I need to get a reason for optimism. The problem here is that the Rockies are so bad that I can't get too jazzed about someone who does well against them because most people would do well against them. But I think that I want to see what he does. I want to see the pitch mix and see what he can do there. Where do you rank, or where do you want the A's with Alvin here? Okay, Garrett Richards, I would say they're fifth in terms of stacking for me, because I would put the Astros, the Reds, the Marlins ahead of them. I think there was one other team. No, they're fourth. Sorry, they're fourth. I put them above Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't have tape on Logan Gilbert yet. Pretty good start in AAA last week, so not really itchy to go to the Cleveland batters. So I would say the A's rank fourth for me against Garrett Richards. Let's see if their lineup is out here yet to see if we can learn something there. Oh, Mitch Moreland revenge game. How about that? That's fun. Matt Olson's got a lot of power. So yeah, I think the A's work out pretty well. Looking at the Houston lineup, mentioned this morning we want to favor lefties. We got all three of the key lefties in there, Brantley, Jordan, and Tucker. that makes sense. Carlos Correa batting 6th at $2,900. I love that. So it's a good slate from a batting order perspective. We got kind of lucky with Senzel batting leadoff. We got lucky with Barnhart batting 6th. I think that's an option too. So I think we're in a good spot here for tonight to fill out some fun lineups. That is all the time that we have for today here on this FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. Big day tomorrow, though. We have the solo shot at 9 a.m. on YouTube. The NASCAR Heat Check is on YouTube at 10:30 a.m. And then we have the MLB Q&A at 4 p.m. So make sure you are subscribed on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter, no matter where you're watching, and get those questions in again tomorrow. If you're watching YouTube, hit the like button. That does help us out quite a bit. If you have additional questions for me, I am on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Calvin Theobald, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Cal, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again on Friday, tomorrow, for a really fun slate. This has been the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A.